So what is the Diversity Visa program? And Mandy, tell us, who is it for?
The Diversity Visa program is something so unique about the U.S. immigration system. It is actually allotted for 55,000 visas every year under this program that goes just to increase diversity in the United States. And what exactly does that mean? It means that these visa numbers are actually saved for citizens of countries that have historically low rates of immigration to the United States. So if you're born in a country that doesn't have a lot of people immigrating to the US on a regular basis, you likely qualify for the Diversity Visa program.
So how can someone check to see if they're eligible and from one of those special countries?
Yeah, so the best way to do that is just go straight to the source, which is travel.state.gov, and you can do a search for Diversity Visa. And so this is the State Department's website, and they will have eligibility requirements. So I can tell you that recently, here are some countries that don't qualify because they have a lot of people immigrating to the U.S., Bangladesh, Brazil, Canada, China, including Hong Kong. That was actually a change in the recent few years. Colombia, Dominican Republic, India, Mexico, Nigeria, Venezuela. So those are some of the big countries that have high rates of historic immigration. So if you're not from one of these countries, it's very possible that you qualify, but the best way to find out is travel.state.gov.
Great. And we'll have a link for that in the video description as well.
I will mention that if you are from a country that doesn't qualify for the Diversity Visa program, there are actually two big exceptions. So you may be able to claim your spouse's country of birth. So if you're married to someone who is from a different country and his or her country qualifies, then you will be able to claim their country. The second exception is if you were born in a country where neither one of your parents were born or legally resident at the time of your birth, you can claim the country of birth of one of your parents. So those are the two main exceptions.
So another big question that we get from our audience about the DV lottery is, how does this visa impact other visa applications? Whether you've in the process for one visa and want to do DV lottery or vice versa, DV lottery and another maybe non-immigrant visa, how do those impact each other?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it's important to know that your visa record is going to be fully accessible to the visa officer at your visa interview. And that means that if you're someone who has been interested in the Diversity Visa program and you decided to throw your hat in the ring and just register for it, it may affect your future visa interview, whether it's for a temporary purpose like going to study in the United States or for tourism. It's likely that the visa officer will see that, this person registered his name and got entered into the Diversity Visa lottery and has actually been accepted. So they may have questions for you about that program. Why did you decide to apply? How does it affect your current plans? So it's definitely something that you have to plan for and be proactive about in terms of preparation, because questions may come up and you want to make sure that you're prepared in answering. I will say though, Rob, that there's absolutely nothing wrong with applying for the Diversity Visa program. I would definitely do it every year. There's no cost to doing so. You might as well apply for the lottery just to see what happens. And how you explain that at the interview will be very important in terms of, not getting a temporary visa like your student visa rejected. So again, this is something very important to prepare for. Don't just risk going in there and saying whatever comes to your mind. I find that, when I don't practice or prepare in advance, random things will come out of my mouth. So this adds an extra layer of complexity to your case that you want to prepare for.
Yeah, those are some great tips and wonderful things to be aware of. Hey friends, welcome to Chine Coaching. So excited to be talking about visas. At Chine Coaching, we're all about helping you succeed in your cross-cultural journey, especially with visas, immigration, and providing great resources for you guys. In this video, we're talking specifically about the DV lottery, the Diversity Visa. We've got tons of questions about this from our audience. We've got a great guest, Mandy, breaking this thing down. So Mandy, please introduce yourself.
Thanks for having me back, Rob. I am a former U.S. consular officer or visa officer, as we're often known, and I have interviewed over 100,000 visa applicants during my time, many for diversity visa applicants. So I'm very happy to talk about this category today. I'm also a licensed immigration attorney, and I love helping people on their visa journeys. And I think that it can be a complicated process if you don't have the experts helping you, and hopefully we can break some things down for you today to make it easier for you to understand the DV program.
Definitely. So kind of the next step in the process for the DV lottery is, when is the registration period that people should be aware of?
Generally, it is between October and November every year. So they will have different dates every year, but generally it's probably mid-October to the beginning of November. They have about a month-long period where you can register. There's no cost to doing so, and you can do it online.
So yeah, again, we'll have the link to the website. You can check those dates out. This is one that's free and easy to apply to, no significant cost. But then why do people need to prepare for this type of visa interview?
Yeah, I think the diversity visa interview is important because not only are you telling the officer that you're eligible, because you have to be eligible to win the lottery to go through the registration process, but you also have to share a little bit about your plans once you get your visa approved and move to the US. What will you be doing for work? How will you support yourself? I think one big issue for visa officers is always that they want to make sure that you're not going to be relying on the US government for living expenses, for things like that. So this is a crucial part of your interview, that you have thought this out and you have figured out your plans for how you plan to support yourself and your family.
Definitely. You need to have planned out, clear answers that's going to make sense to the visa officer. So my friends, if you are learning a lot from this video, just like me, give a big like and thumbs up to say thanks to Mandy sharing her super helpful experience. My questions for you guys is, what other questions do you have about the DV lottery? Let us know in the comments what questions you have about this diversity visa, whether it's applying, the process, the visa interview. Let us know in the comments to see how we can help you guys out. Another big question is, what are some of the common reasons why people get rejected during their DV lottery visa interviews?
I think oftentimes people are not prepared for the interview, even though they know they have to go into that scary government building. They haven't really thought about what they're going to say. And one part is to make sure you plan out what your life will be like in the US. What will you be doing? Where will you live? Will you rent an apartment or will you buy? Do you have family in the US? All of these are questions that will come up during your interview that you want to have confident answers for. And one other thing I wanted to mention about the DV process is that in addition to registering for the diversity visa program, you also have to make sure that number one, that you are from a country of historically low rate of immigration, but number two, that you have at least a high school education or its equivalent, or 2 years of work experience from the past 5 years in an occupation that requires at least 2 years of training or experience to perform. I think, by hearing this requirement, what the US government is emphasizing. They want someone who is going to be able to work and support themselves in the US. So again, keeping that in mind when you register for the program.
Definitely. And unfortunately, sometimes people do get refused, they get rejected. And what are some of those next steps that someone should take after a visa interview rejection? So
the most important thing when you get rejected or have some sort of, I would say there are two types of denials. One is the dreaded 221G administrative processing, which is more of a delay, and they can't make a decision at that point, but you're going to need help if you end up in that category. Or you may actually get a denial, which says, hey, you're not qualified. I think the best thing to do in that case is to immediately take notes of what happened at the interview. Everything that happened, from all of the questions that you were asked, what your answers were, what actions did the visa officer take during the interview. And this is going to be important in piecing together the reasons why you were denied. And once you have your transcript that you put together of what happened at the interview, the next step is to work with an expert. At Argo, we are all former visa officers. We have seen every type of visa there is, including diversity visa applications and interviews, and we can definitely help you figure out what went wrong and how can you address this issue for any future interview, not just for your next diversity visa interview, but in case, you're planning to apply for some other type of visa.
Yeah, and these visas, it's complicated. It's not easy. The paperwork, the documents, the rules, and that's why it's sometimes really helpful to get help. So what are ways that Argo Visa can help people to navigate this and be really prepared and confident for those visa interviews?
Yeah, so we love what we do at Argo. We're very passionate about it. And what we do is we really help you prepare for the visa interview. This is a complicated process that not a lot of people know about. I think a lot of people seek help from immigration attorneys. And while they are really great with petitions and paperwork with USCIS, nobody really knows about what happens at the visa interview and how visa officers make decisions. And that's really what we do at Argo. Every single Argo officer is a former consular visa officer who has made decisions on tens of thousands of visa applications and visa interviews. And what we'll do is we'll sit down with you. We'll fully understand your situation. We'll help you come up with a strategy to succeed. And then the most important piece is doing mock interviews with you. What we like to do is first understand, okay, let's sound out how you would answer this question. And then once we hear how you answer, we could be like, okay, here are the suggestions I would give you to have a more confident response, how you do this better. And I have to say, for most clients that I work with personally, the first time they do the mock interview, they're nervous, they're saying things that are all over the place. And I'm always like, okay, we're not going to start the interview like that. Let's try it a different way. Let's be strategic. Let's be intentional. Let's be proactive about the visa interview. And one other thing I will say is that on the internet and from other sources that are, they're not experts with this process, they may say, try to say as little as possible at your visa interview. Just give that one word answer. And I can tell you, as a former visa officer, that is exactly the wrong way to go about your visa interview. You want to be proactive. You want to introduce strong aspects of your case to the visa officer, even when they don't ask you about it. And those are some of the techniques that we will share with you during your consultation with an Argo officer.
Definitely. I agree. I'm a big fan of Argo Visa and love partnering with them through China Coaching. We've seen success and people bounce back from refusals and then getting things approved. And we've got great testimonials. So check them out. We'll have links in the video to learn more about how to connect and get special coaching to ace those visa interviews. And we also have a visa interview video playlist on our channel. We've made several other amazing videos with Mandy and others at Argo Visa. Lots of topics. Be sure to check all those out. Such great information and resources there as well. Mandy, thanks again. I learned a lot. Seems like a very cool opportunity for people to come to America. And thanks for helping guide people with this DV lottery visa.
Absolutely, Rob. And it's a pleasure to speak to you. And we look forward to helping you with your visa process.
Definitely. Friends, you can also connect with us online, like on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn. You'll get more great information there as well. Be subscribed to our newsletters for more resources and upcoming events. And we love having you be part of the China Coaching community. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.